What is going on, you guys? Welcome to my full card breakdown for UFC Baku this weekend. We've got a sick card, a hell of a lot better than last week. I didn't do anything for last week because that card sucked, and I lost every dime to my name on the White House card. But what an event that was. Practically every fighter I wanted to win lost, but it was still the best event I've ever seen. And then that main event, in my opinion, was the best fight of all time. I don't see how another fight is ever going to top that. There's nobody that deserved that more than Gaethje. I have never seen somebody that wanted it that bad. I didn't think it was even humanly possible to eat that much damage. I mean, everything about that fight was just insanity. It financially crippled me, don't get me wrong, but seeing Gaethje finally get that belt was like a real life Cinderella story. But I can't afford to lose again, and this card is a little sketchy, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of live dogs, a lot of overpriced favorites, but there's a couple spots that I really like that I think we can make ourselves a nice chunk of change. So let's get into these fights. First fight of the night, we got Beksat Almakhan versus Matsumoto. I was shocked when I saw these odds. I don't know how Matsumoto still has this much hype. Me personally, I've never been high on him, but especially in this matchup, I don't understand picking him. I think Beksat is one of the worst matchups you can give him. He's just a way better version of Basharat, who Matsumoto just lost to. Even if you think he won that fight, going to a close decision with Farid Basharat should mean that you're screwed in this fight. Farid gassed bad in that fight too, and he was still able to land at will. Like, it's not even a skill thing with Matsumoto, it's the defense and his fight IQ. He's got all the skills in the world. I mean, great wrestling, tough as nails, crazy output, but he has no idea how to put it all together. He just walks forward throwing the same 1-2 kick combo every time. He's got zero head movement. I don't think he's ever blocked a punch in his life. And the fight IQ is just a fucking spectacle of its own, bro. I am not exaggerating. He chooses the worst possible thing to throw every time he throws. He'll start combos with a leg kick, or he'll throw an elbow when he's a mile away, or he'll throw a head kick when he's toe-to-toe with someone, or he throws back-to-back leg kicks while eating punches with his face. Like, no matter what the moment is, he is choosing the worst possible thing to throw every time. And he automatically throws whenever you throw. Not like he's calculated and just happens to be a counter striker. No. Like, the second he sees you moving your hands, he tries to counter. Except after the first round, he's way too slow. So he just ends up throwing nonsense while you can land whatever you want. And then someone like Beksat, the way he darts in and out so quick, how fast his hands are, he should be able to just beat him to the punch every time. And Matsumoto's entire style revolves around out-dogging you and dragging the fight out late. But it's not just him relying on being able to outwork you. He's also relying on them to gas out and slow down. That's not out-dogging you. Guys that are out-dogging you are breaking you down as the fight goes on. They're making you wilt whether you have a good gas tank or not. It's not like he has this crazy cardio and his speed stays the same the whole fight. He's still slowing down a ton. He just has the heart to push a pace even when he's gassed. But he just walks forward throwing the same 2 combos every time. Like, if you have good takedown defense and the cardio to just always be on your back foot, what is he gonna do? Land more volume? Okay, but he's landing at a lower percentage, it's not as powerful, and it's while he absorbs 100% of their strikes. What else is he gonna do? Keep putting all his energy into takedowns that he does nothing with? I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I have never seen someone this skilled just get absolutely worked by such a low level of competition. I mean, he was down 2 rounds to Dan Argueta before finding a finish. Then he was getting pieced up by Brad Katona. He got hurt bad twice in that fight too. One of them he even got saved by the bell. Whenever Brad was using his feet, Matsumoto couldn't touch him. But of course, he got tired. And then after that, he goes to a split decision 3 times in a row. Like, how do you not think to yourself, wow, maybe these judges are scoring the fight based on damage. Maybe let's try and not have our face look like a fucking meat grinder by the end of it. I just don't get it, bro. Then he wants to act surprised that he lost. Like, brother, you're lucky it was even a split decision. And Beksat's nasty. Like, why is he being overlooked? His losses are to Umar in his debut, which I'm pretty sure he took on short notice, and he like tore a muscle in his leg or something during it. And then Alexander Topuria. Both of those guys would run through Matsumoto. And Beksat looked good in both of them. It's like he should be levels above on the ground too. Where does Matsumoto have the advantage? They both fought the same opponent. Matsumoto barely got a 29-28 decision. Beksat flatlined him in under a minute. But he's the underdog somehow? I just don't get it. These are the kinds of odds that sketch me out, honestly. Like, makes me feel like Vegas knows something that we don't. Like he's injured or something. I don't know. I think he's getting put to sleep in this fight. So give me Beksat by first round knockout. Just play the money line though. Do not get greedy. If you play a method of victory when we're getting odds this good, you are a greedy bastard. Next fight, we got Theodor Berggren versus Daniil Donchenko. I like Donchenko in this one. Definitely wouldn't pay minus 500 for him though. This Berggren kid isn't that bad. Like, I've heard people talking like he's nowhere near UFC level. I don't see that. He's pretty much only fought chain wrestlers too. Donchenko's gonna be the first guy in ages who isn't just diving at his nuts every 3 seconds. His hands do seem a little slow though, but he's got some good kicks, seems like he can eat a punch, very good counter wrestling. His last fight was against this roided out gremlin. Dude looked like he lived under a bridge in a Disney movie. And he was just spamming takedowns, like to the point where it was actually pissing me off. And Berggren's takedown defense looked phenomenal. Ended up finishing him in the 3rd round too. I do think Donchenko is probably going to be the better striker though. Berggren seems to leave himself very open to counters. I have noticed that. But I don't think it's like Donchenko's going to automatically run through him. And as good as Donchenko has looked before his debut, he didn't exactly look great in his debut. Like, he's definitely got some major problems with his fight IQ. The fact that he couldn't finish Morono is such a red flag to me. He landed fucking 35 back of the head shots in the middle of it too, and he still couldn't finish him. I have no idea why guys choose to throw a million pitter-patter shots hoping the ref just panics and steps in. Why wouldn't you just throw to knock them out? Not just button smashing, hoping they stay covered up. If you throw less shots, but with some actual power, you won't gas yourself out, and the ref is way more likely to stop the fight. He needs to watch some Khalil Roundtree highlights of when he has guys hurt. Then maybe you'll be able to finish an ancient Alex Morono when he drops him 50 times. Never seen somebody drop someone with a calf kick so many times and then just stop throwing it. So the fight IQ is definitely a concern. He slowed down a lot too, but that's what happens when you waste all your energy just hoping the ref stops it. I'm still going to go with him this fight, but this is a stay away for me, especially at this price. And with the upsets we've had recently, these guys that are coming in here who look horrible in the regional scene and then look like completely different fighters in their debut, we have no idea how Berggren's going to look. And I've learned my lesson long ago to stay away from debuts. It's short notice too. We have no idea what his cardio will look like. There's just too many unknowns. You're better off just enjoying this fight. It should be pretty entertaining too if it goes long. But I'm going to go with Donchenko. Give me him to get this done, probably by decision. Next fight, we got Kaan Ofli versus Javier Reyes. Another fight with a guy who we barely have any tape on, and he's a wild card too. Whereas Ofli, he's more technical and reliable, and you pretty much always know what you're going to get when he's out there. Like, there's not much of a difference in how he looks on his best night and his worst night. But with Reyes, he is a completely different fighter if he can't implement his game plan. Because when he's able to out-wrestle his opponent, and he's out there mauling guys like a mini Fluffy Hernandez, he looks like a world beater. But if you're able to defend the takedowns and stop him from backing you up, he becomes a lost puppy. And maybe he does end up being the better wrestler in this one. You can't really tell when he's only had one fight in the UFC. But I know for a fact that Ofli is going to be the better striker. And he's already known for having good cardio and controlling the center of the cage. Unless he's hurt, it's very rare to see him on the back foot, even in his losses. Now, is it the same pace and pressure or that weaponized cardio that Reyes has? But it's a lot more technical. He's fought a much higher level of competition. He doesn't rely on needing to break guys to get a win. Reyes' entire style is built around just out-dogging guys. Because he can't fight from range, everything he throws is way too looping. He doesn't have this one-punch power. So I think this fight comes down to who can win the wrestling exchanges. Because if Reyes does, then he'll be able to wear him down with how relentless he is. And Ofli has shown he can kind of be hesitant when he's getting out-wrestled. But if he can defend the takedowns or keep getting up from them, then he should be able to outpoint him from range pretty easily. He's got some good technique, ton of heart. I think he's just getting matched up against guys that are really good fighters. And yeah, he didn't beat Yiza by any measure out there, but Yiza's a killer. And as annoying as that is, he still had some good moments in it. It's not his fault that the judges are blind. I just think Reyes is such a jump down in competition for him. He's dangerous, but this is probably the easiest matchup Ofli's had since joining the UFC. He's the better striker. I think he's gonna be stronger. He'll probably spend a lot of time grinding him on the fence. He loves to get chest to chest with guys and then wear him down. So I'm gonna go with Ofli to get this done. Probably a decision if he wrestles, but I could see him knocking him out too, especially with the way that Reyes keeps his chin out there. Next fight, we got Nursulton Ruziboev versus Andrey Pulyaev. I like Ruziboev a lot in this fight. Definitely one of my more confident favorites in the card. Pulyaev is insanely durable though. He's got a chin made of fucking granite. But I feel like that's kind of the best skill he's got going for him. If he didn't have that, he'd be getting knocked out every time. He leaves his chin so far up in the air. Like, his striking's okay, but his hands are just way too slow. He pretty much only has a body kick. And every time he fights, the conversation is always how he never throws anything. And yeah, it's understandable when you're fighting the savages that he's fought, but I don't see how he's gonna beat Ruziboev. Ruziboev is massive for the weight class, and he's improved his takedown defense a ton. He'll get reversals now and land some nasty ground and pound on guys. He's gonna have a massive speed advantage, better striker, more aggressive, good cardio. He's so much more dangerous and like imposing of a presence in there. If you already have a problem with getting backed up too much, I don't think Ruziboev is a guy to break you out of that. Pulyaev's losses are to some really good competition. I mean, COD and Gutierrez are not bad losses by any means, especially with how durable he looked in them. But he still doesn't throw enough. And his only win is a knockout over Nick Klein, where he didn't even look that good. So I like Ruziboev a lot in this spot. Give me him either by TKO or decision. Next fight, we got Julius Walker versus Abdul Yakhyaev. These odds seem kind of wide if you ask me. I know Walker's chinny, but we're putting way too much stock into Yakhyaev this quick. And trust me, I'll be the first guy to criticize Walker. He blows his entire gas tank in the first round. Sometimes he looks like an amateur on the feet, the way he just walks into stuff. But he definitely has some like DDP to him. Like, I think he's one of those guys where his striking is super awkward and it has a ton of holes. So when you watch tape, you think there's every opportunity out there to exploit it. But then when you're actually in there with them, they're just so awkward and hard to deal with. Even the way that he strikes is weirdly similar to RDR. Like, he just crashes in with his chin on a silver platter, and it seems like you'd be able to clip him easily. But you can't, because he's just this constant forward pressure. He's always chasing you, looking for the cage control, and you can't get away once he's there because he's so massive. So everyone ends up just constantly trying to circle away. It gets to a point where their main focus the entire fight is to just back up quick enough without running into the fence. And he's fast with it too. He's not sitting around waiting, especially in the first round. RDR style is more of like a slower, walk you down, but he can eat way more damage. Whereas with Julius Walker, his chin isn't nearly as good, but the forward pressure is much more aggressive. And with the pace that he puts on, it is hard to stop him in the first round. Like, it's a weird style. It would never work in a 5-round fight. But for a 3-round fight, it could be so effective against certain guys because he's not selling out for a finish. It's more like he's selling out for the first round. Because with the pace he puts on and how heavy he is on the fence, it almost guarantees him the first round. And then in the second and third round, he's kind of just banking on them to be gassed from all the counter wrestling. Because after a round like that, anyone with a bad gas tank is going to be too tired to knock him out, and it allows him to still get back to the fence when he's tired too. And I feel like it's because he knows he can get knocked out easily. I don't know if it's from the weight cut, because he's got to be cutting a ton of weight, but he's clearly got some durability issues. Every fight he's had, he's gotten dropped, and not just dropped, but like on the edge of getting knocked out. And he's got a ton of heart, like he's never gonna quit in there. But there's no reason your chin should be this bad only like 9 fights into his career, especially when he's a wrestler too. It's not like he's out there brawling with guys in the regional scene, but his style is like the most effective style to have when you're trying to take away a guy's power. And to be confident against that kind of style, I think you need someone who's like a crafty vet, like a Dustin Jacoby, who's dealt with that kind of pressure before. I was honestly shocked he gave Dustin Jacoby as much trouble as he did. And Jacoby's already known for having great takedown defense and cardio. Most low-level guys are going to be too tired and slow to knock him out after the first round. And after the first round, you still got to have great takedown defense. You still got to be able to fight off your back foot. He was just a favorite against Jacoby too. How was it less likely for Jacoby to knock him out than Yakhyaev? Why? Because he's not from Chechnya? And yeah, maybe Yakhyaev does out-wrestle him. Maybe he can chin him in the second or third. When Walker can't get the takedowns, he is so hittable and so sloppy. I'm not going to die on any Julius Walker hill, trust me. But the one time we've seen Yakhyaev go past the first round, he looked horrible. And it was a few years ago. He was still only like 22. We have no idea how short notice that fight was for him, but it's the only tape we have on him that's longer than half a round. And he was completely gassed after the first round when it wasn't even that crazy of a pace. And it was a round that he was on top. If that's how you look after a round where you're in the dominant position, what's going to happen if Walker comes out here and gets him and grinds him down for 5 minutes? How can I expect him to have the gas tank to handle that kind of pace when that's the only tape we have on him outside of the first round? And he's not that fast of a guy to begin with. He definitely has some power and he's got some great technique, but he doesn't have a lot of speed behind it. So if he can't knock him out early, what's that speed gonna look like when his arms are all blown up, or he's worried about the takedowns, or he's in panic mode trying to stay away from the fence? And I know Yakhyaev is good wrestling too, but I don't think it's good enough for him to win the first round. And then after that, I think Walker can do enough to scrape together at least one more round, especially if Yakhyaev is worried about the takedowns. We've never even seen what he looks like fighting off his back foot. I don't know. I think we're putting a lot of trust into Yakhyaev when we still have barely seen anything from him yet. So I'm actually going to go with Walker in this fight. I think his style is a nightmare for Yakhyaev, and I gotta base my prediction on what I've seen from him. I can't just have this blind faith that his cardio will be good when I've watched how bad it was the one time we've seen him leave the first round. So give me Walker to get this done, probably by decision. Next fight, we got Michal Oleksiejczuk versus Abus Magomedov. I think this is a tough fight for Michal. He hasn't fought anyone that wants to wrestle him in almost 3 years, and now he's fighting this yoked up Caucasian brethren. I mean, last person to even attempt a takedown on him was Chidi Njokuani in 2023. I think he's in for a rude awakening. He's got a 52% takedown defense. Bro, that is awful. I think Abus is going to ragdoll him, honestly. And Abus is good on the ground. Not just his size, but like he's heavy on top. He does a great job just floating around and letting guys tire themselves out. He's got some heavy ground and pound too. It's not like it's him just laying and praying. He's always working towards finding a sub, which is so important. And when he's on top, he just smothers you. He's so good at flattening you out. He loves to get wrist control and tie up one arm, and it just drains your gas tank. Just his grappling alone is plenty good enough to control guys. And then you have his size and his weight on top of that. Once he has you down, it is hard to get back to your feet, even if you have a good get-up game. Even if you do get up, it gasses you out so much, which was already one of Michal's biggest weaknesses. Anytime we've seen him go past the first round, he's getting tired. And then once he is tired, he's so slow and telegraphed. There's no power behind anything. Abus can get tired too, but at least he still has some sting behind his punches. Michal just isn't that dangerous after the first round. And he's kind of an overhand merchant. Like, he's added a couple of things since he started training with the Fighting Nerds. He's got an uppercut now, he uses his jab a lot more, He'll throw a body kick once in a while. But before the GM3 fight, he used to just spam overhands. And he already struggled so much with these tall, rangy kickboxers to begin with. Shara dominated him for 3 rounds. Chitty was working him until he got clipped. Because if that overhand isn't working for him, he doesn't change anything. He just keeps walking forward trying to land it for 15 minutes straight. So against these tall kickboxers, it's so easy for them to land and then get out of the way. And Michal's a southpaw too, so that body kick will be wide open. I love how he uses that front kick to stay at range. He's crazy fast early on, great counters, and this is all if Michal can defend the takedowns, which I don't think he can. And I love how Abus is willing to exchange some punches in boxing range. Like, yeah, maybe that's why he gets hurt sometimes, but it's so much better than just running away the whole time. So many kickboxers with that kind of range and movement would do nothing but point fight from the outside. But since he's willing to exchange some punches and eat a couple shots if he needs to, it makes it so much harder to back him up. It's not just walk forward and he's immediately going to be on the back foot. You actually have to land with some decent shots to hurt him a little bit. And yeah, that's been happening a little more than you'd like to see, but also against competition that is so much better than Michal. Dude got thrown to the wolves coming to the UFC. He knocks out Stosur in like 20 seconds, so they give him a 5-round fight against Strickland and then Kyle Barallo after that. Then he actually went on a 3-fight win streak, got a sub over Bruno Ferreira in there. I know he lost to Pyfer, but Pyfer's one of the top prospects in the division. Michal's last 3 wins are Cedric Dumas, where it looked like he took a dive, then GM3, and then a 29-28 decision over a very chinny Marc-Andre Barrios. And he lost the 3rd round because of how bad he gassed. And that fight never even went to the ground, because he would need to finish him. There's no way he's outpointing Abus. And then he'd have to do it in the 1st round while stuffing every takedown. Because if he gets taken down, he's not getting back to his feet. And even if he did, he'd be too tired to knock him out. And it's the hardest to hit Abus in the 1st round too, because that's when his cardio is the freshest. So it just seems like there's too many things Michal needs to avoid to win this fight. You get a little paranoid after stuff like the White House card, but I do think Abus is a very good play this week. Give me him by finish, probably by sub, but he definitely could knock him out too. Next fight, we got Ikram Aliskerov versus Bruno Ferreira. This is a sick fight. It's a risky one too if you're playing Ikram, because he has shown some signs of being chinny. But I think his wrestling and his straight punches are gonna be the difference maker. And I know that Brunno has good takedown defense. He was like a national judo champion in Brazil before MMA. But Ikram just times his takedowns so well and he gets so deep in on them, it makes it so hard to defend. And when Brunno presses forward, he throws with so much power, he's practically throwing himself off balance. And then his hips end up being completely square. You do that against Ikram, and he's going to take you down in a heartbeat. And he's more used to being on the back foot anyway. But the problem with that is that Ikram fights so much better when he's the one pressing forward. Sometimes he can be too hesitant to let his right hand go, but he's nasty with his lead hand. He's going to have a major speed advantage too. Brunno just loads up way too much with his punches. So there's definitely a chance that Brunno can clip him and get him out of there. But I think there's more layers to Ikram's game that he can use in this fight. I definitely wouldn't bet on it. It wouldn't shock me at all if Brunno gets him out of there. But I'll go with Ikram this fight. So give me him to get this done either by KO or decision. Next fight, we got a Sue Almabeav versus Charles Johnson. This is a really tough fight to call. My first instinct was that this screams a 29-28 Charles Johnson upset. But after watching tape, I think this is a bad matchup for him. Because even though he has great takedown defense, he doesn't seem nearly as comfortable when he's not the better wrestler. And when you watch tape, you realize he shoots for takedowns way more than you think. Even if he doesn't get them, he does a lot of his best work in the clinch. But when he's fought guys that are better wrestlers than him, he seems way too hesitant, even when he's the one moving forward. So on paper, I feel like Johnson's style could be a nightmare for a guy like Almabeav. But in his last few fights, he just hasn't looked the same. And it feels like he's been saving so much of his offense for the 3rd round. I understand getting your reads early and conserving your gas tank, but he's just not doing enough in the 2nd round. And we know he's not going to be the better wrestler in this one. So there's kind of two question marks on if he's going to be able to get his offense going. It's not just if he defends the takedowns, he wins. Since he's not the better wrestler, we don't even know if he's going to let his hands go, and that's if he can keep it on the feet. Against Temerov, he had so much forward pressure, but then would just stare at him. I think he always wants to be counter-striking. I don't think he likes being first at all, but you can't do that against a Sioux. You'll miss every opportunity you have. Temerov's way more confident in his striking. He's much more willing to stand there and trade with you. Almabeav isn't going to sit around and wait for you to throw. He's immediately trying to circle away. He was literally running away from Mel Cop, like running. So if Charles Johnson is hesitant for whatever reason, Almabeav is good enough on the feet where if you let him circle away from the fence every time, he can put together enough striking to get himself a win. So I think this fight comes down to if Charles Johnson lets his hands go or not. Obviously, he needs to be able to defend the takedowns too. But I feel like that's more likely than him letting his hands go. So is a Charles Johnson upset always live? Yes. And stylistically, I do think he could be a bad matchup for Almabeav. But I think Almabeav is going to get this done. I don't think Charles Johnson is going to let his hands go. I think he's going to spend more time chasing him around for the first 2 rounds. And then I think he'll look good in the 3rd round, but it's going to be too little too late. So give me Almabeav, probably 29-28 decision. Next fight, we got Matheus Camilo versus Nazim Sadykhov. This is the hardest fight to pick on the card in my opinion. I've learned to stay away from betting on guys that only have a couple UFC fights. There's just way too many variables, way too many changes and improvements that these guys are making when they're still that fresh in their career. You really can't get a good read on someone until they've been in the UFC for like a couple of years. And Camilo is the perfect example of that. Because I have a feeling that he's a lot better than he's looked in his past 2 fights. Because his debut was against Gabe Green, which is a pretty average performance, probably below average honestly, considering he got reversed and put in a choke. But his striking looked pretty good. He's got a ton of power, nasty leg kick. I love how much he rips to the body too. But he was definitely loading up too much, and he kept throwing the same 2-punch combo every time. It was always a straight right followed by a lead hook. Every time. Which doesn't just go against every rule in the book, but it becomes a little predictable when you throw it 18 times in a row. And then against Slava Claus, his gas tank was terrible. A lot of times Slava was landing just because he was beating him to the punch. But then I find out after that he had to cut weight twice for that fight. He was actually supposed to fight Al Sawadi like 2 weeks before in Abu Dhabi. He was in the middle of cutting weight though when Sawadi pulled out only like a few hours before weigh-ins or something. So they had to fly him back home and then fly him back to New York a week later to fight Slava. So yeah, it's understandable your cardio is going to look like shit for that. And in some of his regional fights, it looks the exact same way. He's exhausted after only like a round. But again, we don't know how short notice those fights were. But then if you go back a couple of years, there's 2 fights he had where I'm assuming he had a full camp for them because he looked like a completely different fighter. His hands were stupid fast. He was throwing more than just 1 punch at a time. He had this nasty pull counter. He didn't slow down or get tired at all. And he was pushing a pace too. It's not like he was just coasting through. And I've always been a huge Sadykhov guy. But for some reason, every time he fights, it always feels way closer than it should be. Against Yam, he couldn't even get anything going and then got knocked out, which I guess is forgivable. I know a lot of people are high on Ziam, but I've never really been. I always thought he was just a hype bully, to be honest. Like, Tom Nolan being the first guy he's fought that's taller than him, I don't think that's a coincidence. And then you have him almost getting finished by Nicholas Mata, but you can't really tell how close he was to actually getting finished because they were body shots, and he kind of like shot for a takedown in the middle of it, but then he still gets up and breaks Mata down, ends up putting him out cold, so it's like, okay, gave us a heart attack, but I guess it's fine. But then you have things like his fight against Slava Claus, where he loses the first round, then almost knocks him out like 3 times in the second round, enough to get a 10-8, but he couldn't finish him for some reason, and then he loses the 3rd round, so the fight ends up being a draw. Like, there is always something with him. Nothing ever feels like a clean win. There's just something about the way he fights. I think he's so technical, and his striking looks so good, that it almost like mesmerizes you, as dumb as that sounds. Like everything about how he moves out there is just perfect technique. The footwork's perfect, the kicks, the punches, everything's tight and snaps. His hands are always where they should be. He's got incredible takedown defense. On paper, the guy has it all. And yes, when he gets into that flow state and he's got his range and he's cutting angles and he's throwing with power, he looks like a world beater. But then when you look deeper at it and you look past all the moments that wow you, you realize that he's just not a good minute winner. Because I don't know if it's considered his fight IQ or just his defense, but he kind of just walks into stuff. Because he can't use his hands from very far away because he's so small for the weight class. He honestly looks like he should be at featherweight. I feel like he would have so much more success down there too, because he could fight from a farther range, which is what he's supposed to be doing. Everything about his style, like his stance and the footwork and the movement, they're meant for him to be a distant striker. He just happens to be cursed with T-Rex arms, so he's forced to fight up close, but then just runs face first at these people. And when he gets hit hard or he gets hurt, he always just covers up with that high guard and lets these guys tee off on him. Because to him it's fine because he's blocking it all and he's absorbing most of the damage. But like, obviously the judges aren't going to see it that way. It always feels like he's getting outworked somehow, even when he's throwing a lot of volume. I don't know how to explain it. Either he's waiting for a big punch, or he's landing a lot of volume but not as much power as they are, or he looks good in the round but then gets dropped. There's just always something weird every time he fights. And I thought I was going crazy. I literally checked the scorecards to his fights, and he has lost every round he's been in. I'm not joking, the only round he won was the second round of the Slava fight, and the fight was a draw because he almost finished him so many times it was a 10-8, yet couldn't win the round after that. Like, do you see what I mean? There's just something to his game that for some reason doesn't translate well for the judges. And I think he's almost a little too worried about everything being perfect technique. Because if you're going to fight at this weight class and you can't fight from range, you can't always be worried about everything being perfect. The times where he's really letting it go and maybe a step or two isn't exactly where it should be, that's when he usually lands the best. But so much of the time he's using this perfect defense and movement while he's coasting around on the outside, but then he just decides to walk into their jabs. Like, I don't get it. He doesn't use any footwork to enter the pocket or cut an angle or anything. Not until he's down 2 rounds or he's almost been knocked out. And that's the other thing, he's a slow starter. Even when he's fighting someone that I think he's levels above and he won't have that problem, it never happens. He was getting pieced up by Ismail Bonfim the entire round. Not just started slow, like wouldn't have started at all if he didn't hurt him with that kick, and then Bonfim just quit on the stool because it's Ismail Bonfim. I don't know, I can never seem to get a good read on him. But it all comes down to Camilo's gas tank anyway. If he gasses and looks like how he did against Slava, he's going to get lit up like a Christmas tree. But I have a weird feeling he's going to come in here looking like a completely different fighter. So I'm actually going to go with him in this one. Not confident at all. Like I said, we have no idea how he's going to look. But give me Camilo either by KO or decision. Next fight, we got Michal Pereira versus Shara Magomedov. This is a weak co-main event if you ask me. I feel like any other fight in the main card would be better than this one. But Shara should be able to get this one done. Pereira's looked like a shell of himself recently. I do have to say though, I can't stand Shara's style. I think it leaves such a small margin of error for him. He pretty much has to fight a perfect fight every time. Because he's not chasing a knockout. There's no control time. He's not landing with a ton of damage, especially early on. I feel like there's a ton of things that work against you when you have that karate kind of style, because so much of it being effective relies on having perfect defense. And the judges don't score defense. So when 80% of what you're throwing are leg kicks, and you're constantly on the back foot waiting for your opponent to gas out, it doesn't take much damage for these guys to swing the round in their favor. And he's a slow burn kind of fighter. He looks best late in the fight when his opponents get tired, while he's still just as fast and light on his feet as he was in the first round. That's when he really starts to pour on some damage and pull away. But in the first 2 rounds, it doesn't feel like it would take much at all to swing the round in your favor. So it feels like betting on Shara is more of a Pereira fade at this point. Because I think a prime Pereira would give Shara a lot of problems, but he's so jumpy and hesitant out there He looks like he's so concerned about what's being thrown at him that he can't even get his offense started. But fighting conservative like that was never where he found his success. He found his success being the wild man, the guy that was doing backflips or jumping off the cage or landing flying knees. And he needs the fight to be chaotic. And if he's not the one creating those moments, they're never going to come against a guy like Shara. He'll use that speed advantage and that footwork to just dance around the cage, and then 15 minutes will be gone before he even knows it. So I'm going to go with Shara to get this done, probably by decision. And then we got the main event, Rafael Fiziev versus Manuel Torres. This is such a hard fight to call. I've gone back and forth on it all week. I think this is one of the rare cases where both of these guys are horrible matchups for each other. One side of the coin, you have Fiziev, who just came off the first knockout of his career, and he's fighting one of the biggest and most dangerous guys in the division. And then the other side, you have Manuel Torres, who's never even left the first round, and he's fighting Fiziev in his hometown in a 5-round fight. Like, I think there's a very valid argument for picking either of these guys. My original lean was that you gotta pick Fiziev just based on the experience. He's been in 5-round fights before, fought a crazy level of competition. He's significantly better than all of Manuel's past opponents. But I think the size is gonna give him so many problems. Because in the Bahamundes fight, he was having a hard time closing the distance just because of how tall he was. And he even said it himself, Bahamundes can't fight from range. So he had plenty of opportunities to land when he'd come crashing in like that. But Manuel Torres can fight from range so much better than Bahamundes. He's got a nasty teep kick, gorgeous straight punches. Against Drew Dober, it looked like he knocked him out from the other side of the cage. And ever since that Bahamundes fight, he has been so much more patient and calculated. You can see how drastic the improvements he's making are each time he's out there. He used to just charge in so recklessly, and he's got chin issues, probably because of how much weight he cuts. So Bahamundes was able to clip him while he's charging in like that. But if he comes out here and stays patient, just uses his kicks and his punches to land from a range that Fiziev can't hit him, he can just let the knockout come to him. But if he comes out here and rushes forward chasing a finish, Fiziev's gonna take his head off. But I have to trust he's gonna be more patient and fight from range when he's fighting the most dangerous guy he's ever faced. And we have no idea how coming off the first knockout of his career is gonna affect Fiziev psychologically, especially against someone this dangerous. I have a feeling he might be too worried about letting his hands go. And against Bahamundes, so much of his success didn't just come from him crashing in, but he also was going to the body a ton. And if you're fighting Manuel Torres, you wanna go for his chin. That's where he's clearly shown his weakness. And even though I think a clean shot from Fiziev would knock him out much easier than a clean shot from Torres would, I think Torres is going to be the guy to land that knockout shot sooner. He's got such a ridiculous amount of power, and seeing how much he keeps improving, I have to assume he's going to come in here prepared to fight 5 rounds. Like I said though, it all comes down to how Torres fights. I'm really worried he's going to rush it because of his nerves or whatever. The way his corner's out there screaming in Spanish, I think it gets him all hyped up. He's Mexican too, so it's in his blood to just fight like a bat out of hell. But the one big advantage Fiziev is going to have is the wrestling. Because he's so explosive out there that once he's in on your hips, you're getting taken down. That's how he really separated himself from the Bahamundes fight. The way he catches a kick and immediately turns into a takedown, that could be a major issue for Torres. Like, there are so many ways this fight can go. Fiziev might not be affected at all coming off a knockout. He could look the exact same that we've always seen from him. Torres could have plenty good enough cardio to go 5 rounds. Like, we have no idea. There are so many unknowns and so much danger on both sides. I think it makes it a true coin flip of a fight. But I'm going to go with Manuel Torres. I think he can find that knockout shot from range or while Fiziev is trying to close the distance. I never thought I'd be saying that at the beginning of this week. And I feel like an idiot picking against someone as smart and as experienced as Fiziev. But styles make fights. And I think the size and danger of Torres is going to give him a ton of problems. And I love how much improvement he's showing each fight. Fiziev has already reached his peak. Manuel Torres isn't even close to it yet. So give me Torres to win this fight by knockout. Not confident, but I am so excited for it. This is a sick main event to have, especially in Azerbaijan. But that's going to do it for this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. It means the world to me. Let me know what you guys think of these fights down below, what bets you have on the board. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, it means the world to me, and I will catch you guys in the next video.